Wako wapi? Wako wapi mashujaa wa kizazi hiki? Wako wapi? Wako wapi wazalendo wa kizazi hiki? Wapi walikwenda? Walikwenda nyumbani kwetu. Wapi walikwenda? Walimwondosha yule adui yetu, walimwondosha adui wake. Yeah, I see myself also like a translator, taking from my roots, my culture, and reimagining my sound with a global audience.
Welcome to Uncovering Music IDs. I'm Mehnush, and we are here to explore the stories behind diverse musicians and their journeys. Today, we are excited to have Baraka Paul Issabu from Tanzania, a talented pianist and composer whose music blends African rhythms with modern influences. Baraka's journey is one of passion, resilience, and cultural fusion. Habari Baraka, welcome, karibu.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much. We are happy to have you here today with us, and we're excited to know about your music journey and your story.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy.
Could you please tell us a bit about your background and your music journey?
I was born in central Tanzania, the region called Singida. And I usually say that I'm fortunate I was born in a rural area, so I was able to connect with my roots. So, yeah, as you know, urbanization kind of stuff, so people are like around the place, but I was able to connect with my root, my tribe, and my music background, from African background, music is our daily, is integrated in our daily activities. We have music everywhere. So, but the love of music, I can say that I was interested in music, but I can say maybe in a way, a philosophical way, that music was more attracted to me. Yeah, I'm a PK. PK means pastor's kid. So from like the church environment, we used to have these kind of camps, like music festivals. And for the first time, I saw guitar in those kind of gatherings. And guitar was a very strange instrument for me. And I was very attracted to that instrument. Yeah, I think it was around, I was 9 at that time. And then that's where I started like real love to know that instrument. And yeah, because I was in the church environment, the instruments were available, and then I started to learn by ear, imitating, and yeah, so that's why I started learning music. Yeah, so those kind of combination from like, of course, my roots, my traditional music is all over the place, and then from church environment, learning these kind of foreign instrument, what I can say. Yeah, that's where I started like learning music. Yeah,
that's really interesting and amazing that how both the church and your surrounding encourage you really to pursue music. You grew up immersed in the church music, as you mentioned. How those experience and then discovering the guitar influenced your and shaped your music journey?
Yeah, I can say that I've been through the learning process, and those both scenarios or situation influence my music in a way. And in the beginning, from my hometown, It was more of a learning process, what I can say. And then, the nature of my family, my father's work was more of moving around. And then we moved to another northern Tanzania. I went there and then I met another different kind of culture. We have many tribes there, the ethnic groups. And then I still had root from church because it's just normal music, but I had now a different community now from what they called Wasukuma. And then I started to learn their music, those guys. So it's a combination of like this church music and the traditional music. So it has influenced me in a way that in the beginning, I can't say that it's crafted my identity. I can say my identity emerged when I started composing. Yeah, which is like later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know the guitar, and then
Yes.
you started the guitar, and then what happened when you moved to another city?
Yeah, after moving to like northern area, it's a Lake Victoria zone. That's where for the first time also, I saw keyboard.
Okay.
Yes. And that was a shift again, from guitar, and then I moved to keyboard and I started learning keyboard. And that time there's this weird story I usually say. One of the choir teacher there happened to be also my school teacher. Yeah. But for us, like school is kind of a master and, that kind of respect. And I think the teacher was not so much into me, like into playing music. He was like, you need to study, not playing music. So that kind of thing. So I was like sitting when the instruments are back in the store. I go in the store and try to learn keyboard, So also I learned by listening and hear and by self-teaching, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting story. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
And then you decided to go to the University of Dar es Salaam. And would you like to tell us how it helped you to grow as a musician and what was the plan for you to go there?
I didn't go specifically to study music because by the time there was no like a professional education, music education system in Tanzania that could help me like from elementary level to higher level. I went there to do my bachelor in archaeology, like a different field completely. Yeah, but my passion was in music, and then I couldn't find a way of learning music to a higher level. So there was a department of fine arts. At that time, they've changed the name now. It's creative art department. And at that time, I was also fortunate. There was a music teacher that was doing kind of internship. He was there for a part-time. He was Australian. And I got a very good opportunity to learn like proper harmony and those kind of stuff. Yeah, so that was a good moment for me. Yeah, so I was doing archaeology, but I had to take some subsidiary courses from the department.
Yeah, because we were talking about this great opportunity that you had there, and then it has started to think about knowing more and pursue your music more seriously with that great environment with diverse actually studies that you had. It's really great that how moving to other places give you a lot of new opportunities, like also discovering the keyboard. It's good that also you went to this such a like diverse environment of that university, and I was researching about that, and I came across of their motto that is like wisdom is freedom. It really it really highlights the aim of learning and growing. Great. You studied both in Tanzania and now in Finland. How has this both experience in academic career shaped your music?
In Tanzania, I can say that's where I got my grounding, like my root. And as a Tanzanian musician who is like rooted in my tradition, it shaped me like to give me the foundation, what I can say. And then moving here to Finland, at Sibelius. It's another level of my musicianship. So in Finland, what I can say is more of interdisciplinary or multicultural environment that I learn a lot from other people, especially with the global music department program. I've met a lot of other musicians from different places of the world, and it has been a good moment for me to learn from other cultures. So it's adding up a lot to what I already have. So learning from different cultures and
Right.
yeah.
And what really led you to choose Finland and Sibelius Academy's global music department? Because you had lots of these influences
Yes.
in Tanzania and moving, and then why Finland?
Yeah, it's a very good question because I have a lot of story about that. And after finishing my bachelor in archaeology, I didn't want to study anymore. And I wanted because my passion was in music and I wanted to study music. And that kind of frustration, I decided now I'm not going to study anything that is not music anymore. And now this another story comes in. After having that kind of frustration, I was very intrigued within me, there's something that you need to do something about music education. So since that time, I was very passionate and thinking of how can I help the situation, especially with the upcoming artists. I didn't want the upcoming generation to suffer as I suffered, self-learning, searching for things yourself, yeah. So in 2010, at the University of Dar es Salaam there was a music campus that was initiated by the Global Music Academy in Berlin. Yeah, they did a pilot campus. Actually, they did a research before that about music education in Africa. And then in that campus, they organize different musicians from East and Southern Africa. It was 9 countries that participated on that. And then after that, musician that attended that campus decided to, I was part of that, decided to create register an organization that is specifically advocating for music education. You see, and we started Action Music Tanzania. And then we received a lot of support from the Goethe Institute for that. And then in 2019, we received a grant to start a proper music school in Tanzania. And I've been leading that school since then. And in 2002, I had that feeling that I need to go back to school because of the situation. We are trying to legalize our academy and, having curriculum that is rooted with African music to be registered and accredited with the government. But, that route you need to at least have knowledge, not knowledge as musician, but have a professional, especially papers, acknowledgement, authority, what I say, And then I've been looking since then, searching, where can I find a program that I can learn music? Because we have been working close with Germans, the Goethe Institute. I was thinking maybe there's some university in German that I could learn music. But I didn't want to go out of my country to learn Western music or this kind of music. So I wanted a specific program that is focusing on the global aspect of music, but not in a certain genre, yeah. So I was very specific. I didn't want to go anywhere to start music, and I couldn't find anywhere that I could get a program that could fit what I wanted. And there was a program in 2002 to 2004, GINTO is called a Global Network Network Innovation for Learning and Teaching. That was specifically organized by UniArts.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a project funded by the Ministry of Education in Finland. So there's a group of people that came to Tanzania, yeah, for that project, and our organization and another 3 organizations were involved in the project. And then I met Zipporah. Zipporah came. Yeah. Zipporah was a master's student at that time at in the global music department. And then she introduced the global music program here, and I was very interested with that. And like in my heart, I felt, now this is the place that I want to go.
You were searching it in your dream, and then
and then it happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then in 2003, because it was kind of exchange program, in 2002 they came Tanzania, and then 2003 April we came, like a group of people came to Finland, and for the first time I visited Sibelius. And I was like, no, this is the place I want to be. I felt home. Yeah, but I already applied that year, and I got opportunity to come here. And yeah, so I came here because of the program, global music program, that was very unique. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to go and start jazz, start classical, or do anything. I wanted to go to environment that is more of global. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really inspiring that how you stay true on your roots in Tanzanian music, and also respect to other cultures while you are also respecting to your culture. How do you make the balance?
Yeah, as I said before, my root is like, I'm a Tanzanian artist rooted with my tradition, and that is my foundation, you see. I see like a structure, a building, huh? Yeah, so my tradition, my culture is my root. That's where I'm rooted. And building a house, you need to have a foundation. And then you start putting things on top. So these other cultures or genres, or, I see them as spices, things that they beautify my root, like they add things to my foundation, So for me, it's very beautiful environment that I I see myself also like a translator, taking from my roots, my culture, and reimagining my sound with a global audience, you see. So taking from my roots, but packaging it for the global audience. So so in order to bring it to the global audience, I need to learn from other people, also from other cultures, and adding on top of that. So it's that kind of.
It's really great and like a powerful mindset and approach that you said it, that you have your background and your roots as a foundation, and then build on top of that for the other cultures. How do you think that you find a common language when you want to collaborate with other musicians?
Music is a language, and I think though we might be from different cultures and background, but there is always a common ground that we meet. We are all connected by sound. Sound is universal. There's no culture or ethnic that they own sound, That's why in the beginning I said that music chose me, because music was there before I was here. Sound is there, it's universal. So there's that common ground that when we meet from different cultures, then there's a common ground. The sound is bringing us together. Everyone is coming with their own spices, thing, and then we collectively build something beautiful. So with this kind of environment, that's where I think transcultural is coming from. We bring what we have, and then in that kind of collaboration, we come up with something very beautiful, new. A new being is born out of that, So I think sound is that what is like bringing us together and give us the common language that we can listen to each other and understand each other.
I saw many concerts that you had with other musicians in the department, and also other places, and I really appreciate how respect you have for other cultures while you have your roots in your music. It's so beautiful and inspiring as well.
Thank you.
Now we would really want to hear your music. What would you want to play for us?
Yeah, today I've just prepared a piece, my own composition. The song is called Mashujaa. Yeah, I composed this song, I don't remember, in some few years back. Yeah, but the song is talking about, Mashujaa means heroes. Yeah, it's talking about the heroes, and it's posing a question to the audience, like, where are the heroes of today? So it's talking about the heroes who, specifically I mentioned people who fought for the independence of African nations, different heroes that did that, people like Nelson Mandela, Nyerere, our founding father, Malcolm X, Kwame Nkrumah, people that were selfless, people that stood up for justice. They stood up for other people. Actually what's triggered me most, that's made me to ask the question, because of I was trying to think about those people, how they were so bold to stand for people, and I'm asking the same question, where are the heroes of today with the situation that is going on globally, where, especially the young generation, where people who can stand for people, for justice, those kind of things. So the song is specifically talking about the heroes and asking.
Thank you, Asante, for sharing the meaning behind the piece. Is truly powerful.
Yes.
Let's listen.
Yeah. Mashujaa wa kizazi hiki wako wapi? Wako wapi wazalendo wa kizazi hiki? Wapi walikwenda? Walikwenda nyumbani kwetu. Wapi walikwenda? Walimwondosha walimwondosha adui wake. Kina Nyerere, wapi akina Kwame, simama kuwa mbele, simama usiogope, wapi Mandela Nelson, wapi akina Malcolm X, wake up your mind and read, open your eyes and see, wapi kina Nyerere, wapi akina Kwame, simama kuwa mbele, simama usiogope, wapi Mandela Nelson, wapi akina Malcolm X, wake up your mind and read, open your eyes and see it. kwetu, wapi walikwenda, walimwondosha yule adui yetu, walimwondosha adui wa haki.
It was truly powerful. Thank you again for the music.
Asante sana.
Asante. And now I want to ask you something else that you're deeply involved in.
Yeah.
You are a co-founder of Action Music Academy in Tanzania, AMA.
Yeah.
And would you please tell us a bit about this academy?
We started an organization that is focusing on advocating music education in Tanzania. And in 2019, we received a grant from German to start a music academy. And then in the beginning of 2020, that's when we started like a proper music academy in Tanzania. Yeah, and the music is focusing on Tanzanian music. We developed curriculum that was funded by Erasmus Plus of European Union and co-funded by Goethe Institute in collaboration with Global Music Academy in Berlin. We developed that curriculum that is focusing on African music, and then we established that academy in Tanzania. So I've been leading the institution from that time till now. Yeah, and I'm real happy for that. So I hope this is one step toward the solution for the
really
upcoming generation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we're real pursuing that. We want to see change in music education and mentoring and grooming upcoming musician. Yeah.
It's really fascinating and inspiring how you kept motivated and also try to like the dedication that you have to this academy is so powerful.
Thank you.
Thanks. How this experience in Finland that now you are studying in global music department influenced your work for the AMA?
One of the things that is a driving force for me to come here is the academy back in Tanzania. And we lack more professional teachers, music teachers, and I thought I could use this opportunity also to come here and learn, so that I can add value to what is happening in Tanzania. So this is real adding a lot for what I'm doing back in Tanzania. And apart from that, also learning as musician and as a music teacher. But I see that coming here at Sibelius, it's opening up doors of collaboration, because our also desire has been we really want international collaboration. So I hope music teachers can come from Finland to Tanzania, and then musicians can come from Tanzania to Finland. That kind of collaboration that I really wish that I could establish when I'm here.
Great point. And also the pedagogy aspect is really important and can have a big impact in Tanzanian music.
Exactly.
What aim or goal do you have for your academy in the future?
The biggest aim is this kind of collaboration, and to help our musicians back home to have good environment, learning environment, because we have a lot of talents, but that need guidance and mentorship. And my wish and our goal is to create a good environment for upcoming generation of musicians. And doing that, we need a lot of support, like collaborations and people who are willing to come together and make this dream for young musicians come true. Because I know there are thousands of people that had a dream like mine, to have a proper music education, and we know that this academy can be one of their dream come true. And
it's really nice and inspiring that what you are doing there. To conclude, we have a part in our show that we ask our guests to bring a poem for us in your language, your mother tongue, and then if you can share with us about the story and the meaning behind it.
Yeah, I have a short poem, a Tanzanian poem, written by Raya Saif, and it's called Ishara. Ishara means the sign. It says, chini yangu kuna barabara ya jivu, ndefu na ngumu. Mbele yangu kuna alama, inanifanya nijihisi salama. Ingeweza kuongea na mimi, ingeniambia ninaenda njia sahihi. Na kwa marudio yangu, ingenipa tumaini. Yeah. So like the translation of it says that a rough gray road stretches out beneath me. In front of me there's a sign that makes me feel safe. If only it could speak to me, it would let me know if I'm going the right way and give me hope of reaching my destination.
Thank you. It was such a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Baraka. Asante, for being here with us today. It was such an honor to hear your insight, your music, and your journey. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning into Uncovering Music IDs. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep exploring new music. Bye.
Did